Hello, and welcome back to Question of the Day with Doresa Claybrook, or some of you might know me as Professor Claybrook. Okay, let's get right into our question of the day. I found this one to be a little challenging for some of my students. A diagnostic esophageal gastroduodenoscopy of the esophagus, stomach, and duodenum was performed after an esophageal balloon dilator, one that was actually less than 30 millimeters in diameter, was done at the same operative time. What is the procedure codes? Or is it just one code? Well, this one is a little tricky. You really have to pay attention to what is going on in your book. If you will look at page 354, that is where the big bold header of esophagogastroduodenoscopies are. That's where they actually start. So you can start around code 43235. Now, I really like that code. It does say diagnostic, it says flexible, it says transoral. But is this really what we're doing? Esophagogastroduodenoscopy, flexible transoral, including collection of a specimen. So, but I don't just really see one code, and it doesn't mention anything to do with the esophageal balloon dilator. So would that mean that we would need this code like it shows? Well, the only option we have is for this to be in the second place. So it doesn't look like we're making a match here. Let's look at that 43249. 43249 is an excellent code. It is with the transdoscopic balloon dilation less than 30 millimeters in diameter. So yes, I do like that code, but would we need these two codes together? Well, if you take where you're at with the 43249, it is indented in. And so I follow it all the way back to where the indentions stop, and lo and behold, the main header is the 43235. So we don't really need those two codes together since it's indented under that one. So remember how you read your full description. Everything after the semicolon. So the 43220, let's see what that code is, 220, be over a few pages, which then, if you looked at that, we're under just esophagoscopies, not necessarily going all the way down through the stomach and the duodenum. So the 43220 would be out, and the 43200 is flexible, but it doesn't say diagnostic at all. So I'm not so sure about C. Definitely don't want to go, that route. So that leads me to the possibility with the answer being B. There again, pay very, very close attention to how your book has those indentations. This goes back to basic coding. Basic coding with following the rules and the laws of your book. One of the other things I want to go ahead and point out, the answer was B, but I also wanted to point out how we learn. Now, when I was in college many, many years ago, there was a sign up in one of our labs, and it says, after 2 weeks, this is what we tend to remember. We tend to remember 10% of what we have read. So that's pretty low. And then we have a tendency to remember 20% of what we hear. Well, that's a little bit better. So reading it and hearing it is great, but then we also look at 30% of what we see. So if we see pictures, I'm a visual learner, so it's really important to find out what type of a learner you are. So looking at pictures, you're up to 30%. 50% at what we hear and see. So this is what is making YouTube so popular. I know for a fact that my husband's lawnmower broke down earlier this summer, and so we went out to a YouTube video and watched what we could do to fix this lawnmower. And it was very, very helpful, and we actually were able to get our lawnmower up and going. So yes, watching YouTube videos does actually work. But there's something that you can see here on the right hand side. It's showing that those are passive ways of learning. If you want to be more active and really retain even more information, you need to be actively engaged. So 70% of what we say, and participants in a discussion, giving a talk. So it's kind of that I say something to you, you say something back to me. This is where tutoring really can help. And then 90% of what we say and do. So putting real life scenarios to work really does the best overall. That's more of an active participation when you actually work the problem yourself, not just listening and watching a video. So I also have another chart that I wanted to go over, and this is for all the different types of learning styles that are out there. Some people are visual learners, like I pointed out I am. Some people are auditory. They can just hear something and really it clicks and relates. Some people really engage socially in social learning. And then some of them need to be more hands-on with kinesics. So as you can see, if you just listen to a lecture, it's saying 5% information you would retain, 10% if you read it, 20% if you watched an audio visual, 30% if somebody had you demonstrate it, 50% in discussion groups, and 75% by practice or by doing. So that's one of the things that I have my students do. When I walk into class, I like for them to have read their material. That's number one. Then I would go into a lecture, and my lecture would typically have PowerPoint presentations. So therefore, they're getting all the way up to a 20%. But then whenever I start putting actual sample questions up on the board, then you see you're already up into the 30%. We get into some group discussions over that, and that increases your retention of remembering information up to 50%. And then I give my students like a practice worksheet. They then have the opportunity to do a little bit of coding, and it's just unbelievable how much is retained when they start doing it themselves and practicing. So I hope you will keep this information in mind whenever you go to figure out what way you learn best. It's very, very important to understand your own learning style. I have been in the educational realm since 2007. I do teach at the local college, so I do have experience with teaching and not just doing videos. So I hope you found this information to be very, very helpful. If you did, just go ahead. I have my information here. You can send any questions that you might have to me at Dorisa@DorisaClaybrook.com. Look forward to hearing from you, and we'll get back to you next week for another question of the day. Bye.